Some game developers are doomed to fade away quickly. From short-lived ventures like Epic Games' Impossible Studios, or mysterious one-game wonders like ActiArt. But what about a developer that gathered some of Capcom's top talent in the late 1980s and disappeared after only a few games? This is the story of Takeru, also called Sir DeWave, and a team of gifted creators separated all too soon. Instead of starting off as a dedicated game developer, Takeru began in the toy store business, before branching off into electronics and, of course, video games. As the 1980s drew to a close, they had attracted some notable game creators. Akira Kitamura came from Capcom, where he helped design Willow, contributed to Legendary Wings, and created a little character called Mega Man. While Mega Man became a hit with his second title, Kitamura departed Capcom shortly into Mega Man 3's development. He left the game in the hands of his protege, Keiji Inafune, who would guide the Mega Man series for nearly 2 decades. Inafune was often seen as the father of Mega Man, so much so that he had to clarify in a 2007 interview that he was not the original creator. Another of Takeru's resident Capcom expatriates was Shinichi Yoshimoto, aka Yosan. He had produced arcade hits at Capcom, including Ghouls and Ghosts and The Speed Rumbler. Koichi Yatsui was the third major Capcom name to join Takeru. Best known as the main planner for Strider, Yatsui was responsible for many of the game's elaborate bosses, cinematic appeal, and those brief yet dramatic cutscenes. Takeru had also lured away talent from IREM. Kiyoshi Utada had started off as an artist with the arcade magazine Gamist before joining IREM. And before departing for Takeru, he'd created some stunning detailed graphics for IREM's classic Metal Storm. But what did Takeru do with all this talent? As fate had it, Takeru didn't have time to do much. Takeru's dream team debuted with Kokorone for the Famicom. As Akira Kitamura's first project after Capcom, it spun a lighthearted tale of a dream world with a captured princess. Encouraged by a weird talking tapir and a muumuu, players assemble a toy-like avatar from various pieces, including tank treads and jetpacks, and partial imitations of Astro Boy, Cyborg 009, and Gundam. In many respects, Kokorone seems to be Kitamura's alternate take on Mega Man. The level design recalls Mega Man stages, and the most basic hero build even looks a little like Mega Man. Or maybe Astro Boy. The varied weapons of Kokorone also resemble the ever-growing arsenal of a Mega Man title. After clearing each stage, the player gets to build another hero and steadily create an army. If Kokorone was a new beginning, it didn't offer quite as much freedom as a Mega Man title. The player can't switch between characters as easily as Mega Man can swap weapons. And some enemies, like these armadillo pillbugs, are overused. At least the stages are nice scenery. Utada's sprite work makes for some amazing backgrounds. And the fairy tale bosses have an organic look that Metal Storm never allowed. Kokorone was a promising start for Takeru, but it struggled to get attention. In 1991, the NES market was contracting as publishers looked to the fancy new Super NES, and Kokorone didn't even get an international release. But its successor would be a little luckier. Little Samson, also known as Lickle, was Shinichi Yoshimoto's baby. It sends a human hero, a rebellious dragon, a sturdy golem, and a bomb-laying mouse on a quest to save their kingdom. It's a lighthearted game told with little to no dialogue, and its only plot twist comes when Kirara the dragon initially refuses to let a puny human like Samson boss her around. After some introductory levels, players can switch between characters at any time, and their varying abilities come in handy, whether it's Gom the Golem's ability to walk on spikes, or KO the Mouse's knack for grabbing onto any surface. While Kitamura doesn't appear in the credits, Little Samson has an undeniable air of Mega Man about it, as the stages test a player's ability to navigate cunning hazards and use every character to the fullest. Little Samson also carries over the excellent look of Kokoron, letting Utada and the rest of Takeru's staff create even more elaborate bosses and backgrounds. All things equal, Little Samson would stand as one of the better side-scrolling action games on the Famicom or NES. Yet, there's more to its legacy. Many companies jumped ship when the NES market gave way to the Super NES in late 1991, canceling a number of games or leaving them in Japan. Publishers like Vic Tokai, American Technos, and Bandai all pulled out of the NES market. Taito, however, did not. They continued releasing NES titles throughout 1992 and even into 1994, just months before the PlayStation launch in Japan, and Little Samson was among them. It even earned some prime coverage in the pages of Nintendo Power. But Taito gave its later NES games small production runs, and years later, collectors found them to be quite scarce. Today, an authentic Little Samson will run you at least $1,000 for the cartridge alone. That works out to over $250 per playable character, which is still way too expensive. Whether praised by magazines in 1992 or coveted by collectors decades later, Little Samson remains the best-known game from Takeru's catalog. Yet, Takeru had more than side-scrollers with a Mega Man pedigree. Just as Kitamura and Yoshimoto were putting together Kokoron and Little Samson, Koichi Yotsui was preparing his own title. Despite his experience with Strider, his next work wouldn't be an action game. It would be something much more elaborate, and much riskier for Takeru. Next time, we'll conclude the Takeru story with a look at Nostalgia 1907, as well as some canceled games. So, what did you think of Little Samson and Kokoron? I had a lot of fun playing these games for this episode, and this video probably would have been out a lot sooner if it wasn't for the launch of the new consoles. So if you'd like, leave us a comment if you enjoyed this, and also if you have any thoughts about Kokoron and Little Samson. And consider liking and subscribing. I mean, we're a really small channel, so every little bit helps. And, even consider backing us on Ko-fi, which is spelled KOFI.com. Thanks again.